Hey everyone, so I'm here with my compost tumbler to give you an update on how it's going. Before I do that though, I want to put together a Q&A kind of end of the garden season, so if there are any questions that you have for me about my garden or even just random questions about Chicago, let me know in the comments below and then I will put that together in a video. Now, back to my composter. I will say this is my first year, so I don't know what it looks like, if it is or is not working for sure, but from what I can tell, I think things are getting composted. So because I'm very new to this, as I'm going through and kind of describing how it's been, what's been happening, if I mention something and you say, oh no, that means it's definitely not working, or if I say things that are incorrect, let me know down below. But the reasons why I think this is working is because one, the stuff I'm adding to it is breaking down and getting smaller and turning brown, so that seems good. When I open it up, there is that smell, and I don't know again if this is like the right smell to know that it's working, but from what I've seen described online, it should smell very earthy, and that's what it does smell like. So when I open the lid, it is very potent, but it's good. It's not like a rotting or bad smell or anything like that. It is hard for me to stop adding to it though, so I feel like I add so much to it and then I'll go and check on it like a week or two later and the volume is down like to below half in here. So I keep adding stuff to my composter just a little bit at a time, but I know that you're supposed to stop for like 3+ weeks to let it all break down, and I haven't done that yet. Now we're getting close to cooler temperatures and I don't know if that was a bad decision or not. I don't know if I should have stopped like earlier and let it break down maybe throughout like September, use that compost and then start it again. But one thing I think I'll do if this does seem to be successful is get the 2-chamber for next year, because I can definitely fill it and then it starts to decompose and then I add more stuff to it. So it'd be nice to have the 2 chambers so I can tell myself, you're done with the left chamber, now move on to the right chamber. Now some of the things I've been doing with this, so I have been coming out and I'll turn it either every day or every other day. I've found, based on the materials that I'm adding, most of the brown stuff I'm adding is thicker brown, so instead of something like dried dead leaves that'll break down very quickly, I'm adding like thicker cardboard from boxes that I've gotten deliveries in. So I have noticed that because of that, I need to add more green than I would traditionally. So if I was using more of like the brown leaves, I think I'd be able to get away with like kind of the normal ratio of green to brown, but I have had to increase the amount of green that I've been putting in here. I'd say I'm maybe at like a 50-50 split between green and brown material. I also find that I have to moisten it more than I was expecting. I don't know why I was expecting to water it, that sounds like it's a plant, water it like once a week, but I'd say I'd probably spray it with a hose, I don't know, every second or third day. Basically I'll just look in, I'll see if everything still looks moist, then I think it's good. If it's starting to look a bit dry, I'll just squirt some water in there with my hose. I'm kind of trying to find that balance between not leaking so much that it's falling out of the holes in here, because there are holes in here to let the liquid drain, but also not letting it get too dry. So I think that's been working well. Also, the green I've been using, I find that I'm using like thicker pieces, so I do have a lot of leaves, green leaves for my plants, but I'm also using a lot of stems. And the stems are a bit thicker and take a little bit longer to break down, so I did start cutting those even smaller than I was originally cutting them when I was adding things to here. Other things I've added is kitchen waste, although I have to find another solution for the bags. I might just start using like Ziploc bags and dumping the Ziploc bag into here, rinsing it out, the Ziploc bag, and using it again, because the disposable bags that come with the little like kitchen compost bin, when I was putting the food in there to compost, the bag itself was already starting to disintegrate, so then it would just leak out all over the tub itself. So it's a great idea to have the bags that you can throw into the composter to have them break down, but then when they're already breaking down in the little container on your kitchen, that's not what you want. So I did have to carry the whole bucket up here, which again was fine, and then rinse that out. But that's my only kind of con about those disposable bags, is that they break down before they're ready to actually be filled and put into the composter. So kitchen waste, I've been putting coffee grounds instead of like tossing my coffee grounds, just saving them in a glass jar and putting them in here. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, like packing material. I've avoided any packing material with like dye on it, so any parts that have ink, because I'm not 100% sure if I should be adding that to the mix. I've also been erring on the side of caution a lot with what I'm putting in here. So when I pulled the petunias, just in case there were some budworms, I didn't want to get those in here. I couldn't really find if they would survive or not, but I don't want to add a pest that exists on a plant in here. But let me know if you have any more information on that, if it would have been okay if there were some like budworms on here or eggs on here. But anything that I thought could potentially be contaminated with anything, I left out of the compost tumbler. In terms of location, this has just been sitting here on my back deck, and I kind of put it in the sunniest spot. Ooh, that's another thing. So I think the main way to tell, or a good way to tell if it is working, is to take the temperature of the compost. I do not have any sort of compost thermometer to take the temperature. So I have a few times kind of stuck my hand in there and saw if it was warm, and it was. But again, I don't know if it's getting as hot as it's supposed to be for the process. I'm just kind of looking at the visual clues. But overall, I do think that yes, it is working. So I'm really excited to have this in my garden. Again, I think I need to upgrade to a 2-chamber, just so I have the one that I can actually stop adding to. I'll keep you updated. I think it's only been a little bit over a week since the last addition to this tumbler composter, so I'll give you another update in a few weeks, but I just want to give you one now after the first, it's been 2 months or 3 months since I've had it. But yeah, I'm really glad that I have this. This was one of those experiences where there was so much information online that it kind of felt overwhelming, and I was putting off and putting it off, and then eventually I just had to jump in and do it and figure it out along the way. And I find that it's always much easier than you think it's going to be going into it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts with what I've described. Does it seem like yes, it is correctly composting, or no, am I missing something? And then let me know if you have any other tips, especially for going into winter. My plan is to just keep it closer to the door here. That way I can turn it if I need to, check on it. If, let's say, I have a batch before it gets really cold, maybe I'll empty that into one of my beds and then start fresh over the winter. So yeah, let me know what you do in winter with these also, if you have any experience with the tumbler composter. So I think that's going to be everything for this video, just a really quick update. So yeah, let me know any information you have on this, and then also any kind of end of garden season questions that you might have for me for a Q&A video. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.